I've kind of thought. Yeeps has a lot of stuff, and like any other game, it removes things, tweaks things, and keeps things in the game, like bugs and other things, and just makes it into features. But I kind of thought, what if Yeeps removed things, or I should say, what if Yeeps never had some things? Such as, what if they didn't have community worlds? And what if they had thought of a different way to get around maps? And what if, speaking of maps, what if they just never removed any of the maps? And what about the tech web? That's always a staple of the game, so how would it look if that was never in the game? These are questions that I kind of want to explore because it's pretty fun looking into the different possibilities that could have happened. And I love doing this kind of thing a lot. And I kind of want to make a channel around this, but for now, it's just this video. And I gotta get a better mic before then. But anyway, here is what if Yeeps didn't add these things in the first place, because, as we know, some of these things are really fun in the modern day, but could it have been funner? As I mentioned before, I wanted to find out what are different possibilities that could have happened. And I want to talk about tech webs first, but first I want to talk about a rule. Now, the rule I want is basically you can't replace it with the exact same thing if it is removing something that, like something like a tech web. If it's removing it, I can't just say, oh, it's a tech map or something. It has to be a completely unique idea and something that wasn't already in the game in any sort of way. And that's what I want to go off with. So, what if Yeeps never had the tech web? I think this could go two different ways. One of them was really boring, and that would just be everybody would have every single item. And this could work in the game because progression definitely does exist now. And if it didn't exist, everybody would be playing on equal grounds. Because let's face it, anybody with grapplers definitely has a slight advantage. But I wouldn't call it pay to win. But the second option I find kind of a little more interesting. What if there was a map that was basically a factory map and would have a couple of different sections? The different sections would be things like gadgets, blocks, creative blocks, misc, and maybe a few other sections. And instead of having to progress, you can just unlock the items you want. So for something like grapplers, you don't have to unlock all these creative blocks because maybe you just like playing maps and you don't like building them. So you can just buy the grappler right away. But I do find a problem with this. Well, for me, I really like progressing through the game. Some people might not, but the feeling I got when I bought the grapplers was so amazing. Like, how could I ever live without this? You would not really get that feeling too much because you could get 1,200 really easily. And I don't feel like the progression is really there anymore. But maybe some people would like it. Personally, it would not be my favorite, but it definitely could work in Yeeps. Yeeps is known as a very colorful and creative game, and that's something I love about it, because you can't get that in every single game. But what if it didn't have some of that creativity? What if it didn't have community and private worlds? Now, I can't imagine this as something that would be in the game, but what would happen if it wasn't in the game in the first place? I would imagine that there would still be creative mode blocks for wilds, but people wouldn't be going to wilds too often, and there wouldn't be too many creative mode blocks, and people would not go out of their way to get them. So I don't see this happening. And, well, that's all I have to say. There's not really much of a way that could replace it. Private and community worlds are amazing. I do see one way being permanent wilds that would basically be like when you go into a code, whenever you leave it and nobody's in that code, it still stays, so when you come back, you can continue working on it. So BAMs could still exist, but it would just not be the same as it is today. What if going from map to map was slightly different? Now, this I feel like would never happen, but what if it did happen? I could see this going two different ways. The first way is, what if there was some sort of map that you could pull up, like, in the setting menu, and you'd be able to teleport to any map you want. And there'd be a quick little animation of you blipping out of reality and into reality in the new map. And this would definitely be kind of fun because it erases the problem that we have now of having to go from map to map just to get to the map you want. But it wouldn't feel exactly the same. And honestly, I kind of like how it is. But the second one is, what if the maps were connected? Kind of like how in Gorilla Tag. If you know Gorilla Tag, then you know kind of how the maps are connected. Like, forest leads to beach, caves leads to old caves, city leads to mountain. where basically each map would be integrated into a different map. And honestly, I kind of like this. This could lead to some unique possibilities, and that would honestly be kind of cool, but wouldn't be as practical as just being able to go from room to room as we have it now. And finally, what if Yeeps never removed maps? Now, I'm not a game developer, but I know to keep basically the storage low on something, you have to remove things. And I think that's part of the reason why they remove maps. But what if they didn't remove them? Well, I think first, the storage on the game would be a lot bigger because it would have to have every single map, but that's just a guess. I'm not a full on game developer yet. But I feel like there would also be sometimes a lot less people in the lobbies because everybody would be flocking to just the maps they'd like, and a lot of maps would still have them, but there's also the problem of some maps would just become abandoned. Now, this is just because, well, how do I put this? Some maps are less popular. If you go into some maps now, they're already abandoned, and that's with less maps, but if you noticed a while ago, like some like basements, that did not have many people in it. But and but if it never got removed, I feel like that would still happen. It would still just not have many people in it, and it was honestly kind of a fun map. But it's no longer with us. So as you can see, Yeeps could have been a lot different than how it turned out. And I'm happy with how it turned out. There's so many amazing things, and it just feels so amazing. But I do have a bonus one for you. What if content creators never exist? Wait, I'm a content creator. So wouldn't that mean... Ah!